Hello and welcome to this short hangout that I'm going to be hosting with my friend Kathy Ennis ahead of our event on the 4th of February, which is the Small Business Bootcamp in Holborn, London. My name's Sam Bailey. I run a company called Silver Compass Digital, and I help small businesses to be more effective at marketing themselves online using technology like email, social media, and blogging. We're going to be having a quick chat about some of the channels that you can use for your small business to help it grow in 2016. And if you stay with us to the end, we're going to be giving you a little bit of a free gift that will help you to grow your business a little bit further, a little bit faster as well. So that's my introduction. Kathy, would you like to introduce yourself as well?
Hi Sam, yeah, thanks very much. My name is Kathy Ennis, and my strapline with my business is Let's Get Your Business Working. I work as a business mentor and business consultant, and I work primarily with micro businesses and small businesses, helping them to plan but also action the things that they need to do in order to make their businesses more profitable, more successful. One of the specialisms I have is around engagement marketing, which involves the integration of online and some offline channels for engaging, enticing, and communicating most effectively with customers and potential customers.
Brilliant. So I mentioned that what we're going to be talking about today is the digital channels that are available to small businesses. And there are a lot out there. So that can make it feel incredibly intimidating for small businesses who are just starting to market themselves online. So my first question, Kathy, is, do small businesses need to use every single channel available to them?
Yes and no. And I would put the no before the yes. I think the problem that we've actually got, and I think let's think about the difference, first of all, between small businesses and perhaps micro businesses. Small businesses tend to be businesses that have more than 15 employees, and as a consequence you may have a setup where somebody there is responsible for marketing. If you go into the micro business side of things, and we're looking at nearly 5 million businesses in the UK that fit within that category, they tend to be one-person operations, chief cook, bottle washer. So the concept of using all social platforms can actually be really scary and extremely daunting if you're a single person business operation who is responsible for your marketing as well as actually delivery, and you're not that confident or competent in actually using the channels. Now, I think that any engagement marketing plan needs to encompass as many of the channels as possible, but the ones that are appropriate to the business and appropriate to the clients that the business is attempting to reach. I would always advise my clients not to go whole hog and jump into all of them at the same time, but to actually focus on which ones are going to be most useful to them in connecting with their potential customer groups, and start to use them one at a time to learn how they work, what their foibles are, and build it up in a slow process. There's also the side of things that you will find as you go forward that there will be ones that you prefer using and ones that you don't like using. I use Facebook, but I will say it's not my favorite social media platform. I absolutely love Twitter. I could spend all day on Twitter and I have to stop myself from doing it. So that's really it. Yes, you do need to use a variety, but you'd use them in slightly different ways and for slightly different purposes.
And I just want to pick up on a couple of things that you said there. One thing that's jumping out for me is that what you want to be aiming for in terms of using these channels to promote yourself online is quality rather than quantity. And I think that's true of a lot of areas in business and in life in general. The second thing to pick up on a little bit more is that yes, you are going to be using different channels. You're going to be using them in different ways, and you're going to be trying to attract maybe slightly different customers and customer personas from each different channel that you use. Would you say that's correct?
Absolutely. And this is where integrating, understanding social media as part of your marketing plan, which is part of your overall business plan, is essential. And I feel that this is if you want the missing link, quite often in the smaller business, is that a lot of businesses that are very say single person operation, or very few people in the business, they will quite often not plan their processes. Sometimes it's perhaps seen as a waste of time. I don't know. I always find that planning is a time saver rather than a time waster. So if you're not planning generally, things like how much you want your business to turn over, which customers, which client groups you're going to be targeting in that particular year, what services or products you're going to be promoting to those groups, then how can you actually think that you're going to use social media effectively? Because what you'll be using that for is to promote those services or products to those people that you've identified. And those groups of people will be hanging out in different places. Some will be on Facebook, some will be on Twitter, some will love Pinterest or Instagram. They're going to be all over the place. So that process of sitting down and saying, you know, what is it and to whom, will then allow you to identify the where that you need to do. Plus you add in the fact that each of the platforms displays in a different way. So with Twitter, you know, it's a very fast flowing profile. So repeating, for example, people forget that you can repeat your tweets on Twitter because the likelihood of people seeing them is quite remote. What, you've got a 17-second window or something?
That's correct, and it's something that I like to call a high volume but low impact network. So yeah, you end up sending out a lot more information, but it's going to hit a lot smaller numbers of your target audience than other mediums will.
And then if you take something like Facebook in that kind of scenario as well, what is it? You've got potentially to hit 2% of the people who are following you if you're posting something out on Facebook. I mean, it's a minuscule amount of people that you can actually hit. This is where I think that people perhaps don't quite understand the value of email and mixing that into this, and they don't view it as social media when in fact it actually is.
We'll come back
because that statistic. Yeah, I was just going to say statistically that is much more honed and effective in terms of reaching your target groups. But yeah, so I think it's understanding the algorithms or the way that these systems work will help you to understand how often and the kinds of content that you send out to people as well.
You're absolutely right, and I think email is something we'll come back to in a second. Yeah. One area that I wanted to touch on with you is you were talking before we started this hangout about two clients of yours that are on the face of it quite similar, but the ways in which the type of business that they go after is different, would mean that their social strategy needs to be different as well. I think that would be a useful thing to look at as sort of like a live example, if you were.
Yeah, so both of these people are within a professional sphere. Not saying that other businesses aren't professional, but one of the professions. And traditionally, professions such as, you know, accountancy, law, etc., they do tend to, and this is a generalization, but they do tend to view social media marketing in a very different way to some other businesses. Obviously, because they have much more rigor around those professions, and one of these people deals very heavily in things to do with families, in terms of her part of that profession, and the other one deals primarily with paperwork, contractual work, those kinds of things. A lot of it to do with HR and etc. Now, to me, both of them could really use social media effectively to promote their businesses, but where they might put their focus might be very, very different. So, for example, the person who's primarily dealing with family type issues may well be more successful in Facebook, whereas the person who's dealing with more contractual and HR type issues may be more successful in LinkedIn. And it's actually understanding that, not to say that the one who would concentrate in Facebook wouldn't use LinkedIn as well, and vice versa. They could, but it's about where you might put your emphasis, because that's where your customers and potential customers are.
Absolutely. And it's not so much that we're putting, to use a bit of a clunky analogy, putting all eggs in one basket. It's more that we're putting the majority of eggs in one basket and other eggs in smaller baskets.
Yeah, and it's the acknowledgement of the time factor in this, is the fact that if you do plan it out, if you do know what you're selling and who you're selling it to, you know where those people hang out, and therefore you put most of your emphasis into the environment where those people hang out. It doesn't mean you don't use the other channels, because there may well be people that you hadn't even thought about that are in those spaces. But as with any form of marketing, it's about knowing who your customers are, where they are, and providing them with the information about how they can buy from you, basically.
Absolutely. And as we've sort of come on to the issue of giving people the information so that they can buy from you, should we pick up on what you were saying about email marketing? Because I think you're absolutely right. It's the unexpected social network.
Yeah, and I think because it's become so entrenched in what we do on a daily basis. I heard somebody speaking at a conference the other year, and he was saying, you know, when was it that, regardless of whether we're yoga teachers, lawyers, accountants, that somehow or another we've all turned into inbox managers, because that's what seems to worry us most of the time. But email is something that is so there, and it's been there for such a long time, that we forget how revolutionary it was when it first started. I'm old enough to remember actually sitting down and writing letters, and having a post tray in my office. But it is there, it is valuable, and it is actually a methodology for reaching your target groupings with things that they have expressed an interest in. Now, I think why email marketing and email gets a bad reputation is because some people use it in a bad way. I think the whole idea of purchasing lists of people and then sending them emails about stuff that they have not expressed an interest in, I personally think that's unethical. What I'm talking about here is reaching out to people who have already expressed an interest in what you do, and providing them with hints, tips, support, help, information on things that you know that they're going to be interested in. And
Absolutely right. And it's in the very act of opting in to an email list, it's similar, if not exactly the same, to people liking your Facebook page, following you on Twitter. It's an expressed desire to have information from you provided to them. The only difference is that when you have an email list, you are completely in control of that data and that information, and you know that every email that you're going to send out is going to get into their inbox. Whether they open it or not is a different question.
Yeah, and there's a whole science around that, and we could spend days talking about that.
But it differs from sending out a Facebook post or a Twitter post, which is really sort of down to the algorithms that those particular sites use as to how much of your audience you get in front of.
Absolutely, and those algorithms change on a regular basis, and keeping up to date with those is, it's more than I can do. So it's about creating a landscape. I think that's the easiest way to describe it. It's a landscape of social media communication with people who are interested in you, what you do, or what it is that you've got to say. And you can't just concentrate in one thing, because you might be missing somebody in another place. So it's about understanding what the different things are, how they might work most effectively for your business, and then putting your concentration in there. So I know personally for my business that regular communications with the people on my email list are vital. Because of some problems I had over the Christmas holidays, I missed a couple of weeks because I send mine out weekly, and I've actually had people saying to me, "Where's your email? I haven't had your email this week. When is it coming out?" So people are expecting it. They're waiting for it. So I know I have to send that. I know that I get a lot of traffic on Twitter. Thank you, Sam, for your support in that. And I know I get a lot of interest on Facebook as well. LinkedIn is something that's growing for me too. I know I have to integrate all of those things together. But personally, I know that my email newsletter keeps everybody who's ever expressed an interest in what I do as close to me as they possibly can. And hey, if they get fed up with me and they don't want my stuff, they just hit the unsubscribe button, and that's absolutely fine as well, because I've got no problem with that. If I fail to be relevant to people, that's absolutely fine. I'd rather have that data, because then I can actually do something about that, because that's the other side of it, is that it's not only using these things, it's actually then looking at the measure points as to how effective they actually are. And not measuring and not understanding what you're using and whether it's having an impact. Because it's all very well and good saying I posted this out and 5,000 people looked at my post on Facebook, and I've got 10,000 likes on my Facebook page. If nobody's ever left a comment on anything you posted, there's absolutely no real engagement.
So this is just the tip of the iceberg.
Yeah.
As you can well imagine, this is a massive subject, and we've only really started to just skirt around some of the issues that are happening for small businesses. Kathy, how can people find out more?
Well, Sam, thank you for leading into that. You and I are running a training day on the 4th of February in central London. The Small Business Boot Camp, and it's on from 9:30 in the morning till 4 in the afternoon. And the whole idea of the boot camp is that, and we put the slogan on it, walk in with questions, walk out with a plan, because the idea is that it's a very practical training day. It's not an upsell day. It's a day where people are actually going to be trained on how to create a plan that will work for them and will work for their business. So they can walk out with something that they can implement the following day. The cost of that day is £67. But for those people that have borne with us through this discussion, if they want to book and they use the code SBB49, they'll actually get that discounted to £49.50. So if you want to give them the URL, then people can actually go and log on and book their place, and it would be great to see them.
Absolutely. And we did promise you a gift if you stuck with us to the end, and that is it. It's the discount code so that you can come and join us for a full day of training using the code SBB49, and the URL to book is bit.ly/SBizBC, and we're going to put that in the description when this goes to YouTube, and it will be with this video wherever we decide to post it once it's been uploaded. So thank you for joining us and listening to this conversation today. Hopefully you've found it useful. Thank you, Kathy, for joining me in this conversation. And if you would like to join us on the 4th of February for Small Business Bootcamp, we're really looking forward to having you with us, and hope that you find the entire day useful as a way to get planning for your small business in 2016, and to help you take it on to great things this year. So thank you once again for joining us, and we'll see you soon. Cheers.